Oh, hello, friends. Here we are at the end of 2024. I always laugh because each day is the beginning of forever. But we keep time in days, minutes, seconds, hours, weeks, months, years. That's what we are. But it's for us, at least in these last millennia, a time of holidays, the holidays of lights. The Hanukkah holiday, which is about the divine light that lights the candle of each day of daily ordinary life and imbues each day of ordinary life with that special spark of soul depth and soul richness. And of course, the Christmas holiday, the birth of the Christ consciousness, which truly is something ever present in us, ever available to us, waiting to be born in us every moment. But it means stepping back from our obsession with our secular life and daily doing and remembering that there's a deeper ground in us. And that deeper ground knows that God is love, and loving one another is the true prime directive if there's ever going to be sanity and the glory of what human consciousness and human life can be. But I don't really want to talk more deeply about the holidays in that way. I want to talk about how at the end of a year, before a new year, and in these kinds of holidays, it's a time for the potential of the sweetest form of soul searching. I know that, at least in myself, when I have thought about the notion of soul searching, it had seemed somehow kind of self-involved and closed off and melancholic, but that's not what it can be. That's not how it really is. To search our souls is to take the human being, the spiritual being that you are now, that you weren't 5 years ago, that you weren't 30 years ago, that you couldn't have been as an adolescent or college student, a child. We're so self-involved, we're so blind at that stage of life, in those early years of life. But now, when we look through the eyes of our lived experience, when we look through the eyes of our prayers, our heartbreak, our life experiences, the joys of our lives, the suffering of our lives, the people who have died, the passing away of so much. When we turn in now for soul searching, we can go back into ourselves and find a new way of seeing and feeling everything that we've lived before. This morning, for example, I have a practice of singing, and it so surprised me today. I I just was completely in improv mode, not singing any melody that I know. And when I sing, words come. I want words to come, but I don't think them into existence. They come. And this morning, in the spirit of that, there was such a deep sense of connection to creativity and to timelessness and to feeling and feeling into. And suddenly, when I became quiet afterwards, I found myself looking at my own childhood. I was back in the home that we moved into when I was 8 years old. And I was even back earlier than that, to my earliest memories of where we lived. But I wasn't in me. I was in my father and mother, talking to each other in the mornings, maybe struggling with financial issues, maybe struggling with their children, because I was no easy one. And I saw my father going off to work. I was the car backing out of the driveway, turning down the road that I remember from childhood, from 7, 8 years old. And then I was my mother in her bedroom, this tiny little bedroom in our small house alone every day. And then she would wake us up, bring my brother and I a glass of orange juice. But I was inside my mother's soul, inside of how she had been a child, how she had her dreams, she had her traumas, and whatever her dreams of her life were, they were that was her day. That was what her life was about. And my mother had the genius of, we were raised as a very non-religious Jewish family, and my mother had the genius of giving us a Christmas holiday. I mean, we really celebrated Christmas. We didn't have a Christmas tree. We had a chimney that we could put together, a cardboard chimney, and then we strung popcorn, and we strung tinsel, and made loops of glued loops of colored paper. And they were the most wonderful gifts, many gifts, and stockings, because my mother knew that, we lived in a community that was mostly Christian. My friends were mostly Christian, and that they would get up in that morning, in that wonderful festive Christmas morning. She wanted us to have that. When I find that woman in me whose heart was there, in raising us, her mother love, ever rich, ever in her own, and I was there with her, watching her walk down the hall, go to the kitchen, get orange juice, come to our doors, wake us up to go to school, and then be alone all day long. She didn't drive, so she didn't go shopping. I don't know what she did during her days, what neighbors she was friendly with, how much so much I didn't know, but I was in her heart. I was feeling her, wondering about her loneliness, wondering about her hopes and fears. My mother had been a nurse, but she gave up that career to raise my brother and myself. And likewise, I was with my father in his drive to work each day. My father went off as a school teacher, teaching seventh and eighth grade, and in the New York City school systems. And he met with he drove a certain way. There was a carpool. He drove with other men. I was in the car with him. I wondered what they talked about. All those men are dead. My father's long dead. What they talked about, what it was like to walk into the buildings where he, in particular, had lived his career with young people, year after year, new young people. And then I was inside many other people in my life, just looking at them through the, the caring that I feel now, the sweetness, the gratitude I feel for them now, that I couldn't possibly know in my self-involved youth, in my self-involved adolescence, in my self-involved 20s and self-involved 30s and 40s. I'm telling you, at this time in the year, we often look back with nostalgia. We often look back with regret. There's no judgment in what I'm telling you, but it's like soul searching is literally recreating in your heart the world as it could be if your compassion and your generosity of spirit was there to embrace every person from the moment you took birth. And that is how you can embrace every person today and tomorrow and every day that you're alive, to to create that heart connection, to somehow be there, to hold them in love, to look through the eyes of love, to listen with the ears of the heart, the ears of love. Soul searching is like rebuilding the history of the world inside of you. We're always talking about how to change the world, but we can't change the world unless it changes inside of us. And it changes inside of us when the glory of the beauty of what we are reassembles our lives in our own consciousness, to give new life to everyone that was ever there, to see through the eyes of compassion, to feel and see through forgiveness, to see the beauty that was always there that we were oblivious to in our self-involvement. So I'm saying to you, as you come to the end of this year, sit down with yourself, play music, sing, find the way to activate your own deep, soulful ground, the ground out of time, the ground of now. And in that place, visit your past, visit the people in your life as if you were the Christ itself. holding them, seeing them, knowing who they really are, being a living prayer for who they could become. And it doesn't matter that they're dead because they're still living in you and they can evolve into deeper and deeper heart and soulfulness in you. And that transforms you. It transubstantiates you. It creates a luminosity in you, a place of bottomless gratitude and joy, and places of heartbreak, of course. But their heartbreak, and your grandparents' heartbreak, and their grandparents' generosity and giving. Oh, the sweetness of it, the sweetness of truly generative, redemptive, redeeming soul searching. Yes, recreate the world you came from in your heart, in your spirit, to know it the way the Christ in you would know it, the way the divine self in you would know it, and does know it, and always knows it. Blessings for these holidays, and blessings for enriching and fulfilling new year. Whatever you have to live it with a big, big heart. There's no limit to the love in any moment, and no limit to the heartbreak you can be holding at the same time, and the aloneness, the bottomless aloneness you can be holding at the same time, even as you meet in your heart in the limitlessness of connection. Isn't that a wonderful thing to know as you go into the new year and you celebrate these holidays? Oh, my love to you. Blessings.